Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are coming live to you. I have a very special guest with me today. She is the author of Breaking the Glass Ceiling. She's also the author of Becoming an Unstoppable Woman. The Journey Continues. That breaks out tomorrow. So literally, like within the last 2 weeks, you have two new books. So I'm joined here with Jacqueline Vazquez, and man, are you ladies and gentlemen in for a treat today? That's all I know. Welcome.
Hey Hannah, how are you? I am so excited. And
Me
with
too.
everything that's been going on with the book in pre-order, it's like crazy.
It is. It's been really truly a whirlwind. So you wrote this book, Breaking the Glass Ceiling. But before we start there, let's give our audience a little bit of background. So you are a master PhD of events, wedding planning. You are an educator. You have traveled the world speaking. Specifically, I want to ask you about two locations that you mentioned. And you write and you do all these different things. How the heck do you keep up? That's what I want to know.
I keep up with the grace of God and the support of my husband. He gave me a list before I even thought of anything of this. So I don't know how I checked off almost everything on his list, but his support has been tremendous and the grace of God.
So before you wrote these two books, you shared with me you had created something else because you were doing accounting. Can you share again one more time? I just kind of want to give the audience.
So, as you had asked me, you mentioned that I've been doing 25 years. I've been a planner. So I mentioned, yeah, and before that, I was an accountant. You're like, wow, what a switch, right? And it is. That's the response that I always get from everyone that I tell. Yes, and I was an accountant. And so along the way, I always knew I wanted to write a book, but the title came way after. I'm sure you know how that is, right? That sometimes you have that title beforehand and sometimes it just comes like almost before you're just ready to send, right? And so the title came up and I said, you know what, let me make it fun. And it's called The Creative Life. And then if you can see, it's of an accountant, and accountant is kind of crossed off because I switched over. And so it's really the creative life of an elite event planner. And this is pretty much a second step or the next level once you've taken, for those planners who are starting or seasoned planners that want to switch up or gain some more knowledge. It's just that next level.
So and you're an author. So a PhD, master event wedding planner, educator, speaker, author. I mean, the list goes on and on. So you in this book, you titled your chapter The Silent Cry
Mm.
Behind the Smile. And that's a very profound title.
Mm.
What where did that come from?
So I'm always smiling. um, Even through the toughest time, a smile always comes out. And again, just mentioning my husband again, because he's just there all the time with just support and just great conversations, but mostly laughs. Every day, our medicine is just laughing. And so he would not let me just have a moment without a smile. And so, even though I might be going through something or might be feeling a certain way, he is always there. So, yeah, the smile is always prevalent no matter what. And the silent cry is because what I share in the chapter, wow, it was the moment. It took 10 years of my life, and it was kept under the rug for the most part. And when I say kept under the rug, it's not that I didn't share with people in my surroundings, but it was a shameful moment that I felt like am I a woman or am I not a woman? Does this define me? And so that was the silent cry behind the smile, because I always tried my best to keep that smile.
And what you're talking about, and it's a really, we talked about this pre-interview. um the chapter is based around, some of it is based around infertility and what you have gone through. And so when you're saying, am I a woman? I feel ashamed. I feel these different things. And you share throughout the book some of the questions that you faced, some of the times when you experienced some major depression and darkness. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you were very open, very, very transparent in this chapter. How do you feel today,
Mm,
knowing that you just kind of, it's out? You've spoken it.
yeah,
How do
it's
you feel?
out in the universe, right? Um, Again, through the grace of God, I was shown my purpose a few years ago, and a lot of things were revealed as to what my purpose was for. And my purpose here, in anything that I do, whether it's business or personal, I've always been a support. I've always been that person that people go to for advice or suggestions or just to talk. And
Mhm.
so that just kept on coming year after year after year. So
Mhm.
having been through that journey, and it's been 30 years since I've been there, something started just stirring up.
Mhm.
And then I had a conversation with my coach last year in Mexico, last June. And we were talking and brainstorming. This was before I started my platform. And it was like, I'm feeling this, and this is what I want to do, but I don't know how to approach it. And so I started a platform called Inspired by Jacqueline,
Mhm.
because that was going to be about struggles. It was going to be about real conversations, real chat. I didn't know what was going to be created after that, but I feel so blessed with the mission and the purpose that I've been given. And it's to be a resource for other women who are going through it or who have been through it.
And you know that you are 100% woman. You
Oh,
do
yeah.
not need to be ashamed. You are Latina. You are strong.
Confident.
Yeah. Beautiful, intelligent, all these different things. And you shared about, some of the cultural
Mm,
expectations. Um, and it made me open my eyes. I just think, wow, how many different things that we wear,
mhm,
titles, expectations, all these different things. Oh, you're Latina, so you should have 20 kids.
mm,
Um, I'm Latina, and I didn't want a lot of kids. I wasn't even sure if I wanted any kids. I was afraid of kids. So just because of a culture difference doesn't mean that we have to follow the expectations of others. And I just wonder, how were you able to get through some of those hard times? Like, what were
uh,
things that just kept you going, saying, you know what, enough, enough? I think you even said that, enough. When was that
yeah,
moment?
it was just a pivotal moment, a moment in my life that I was so dried up. I was so lost, and I was such in a dark place that I didn't want my life to be all about that. And I
Mm-hmm.
needed to, whew, I needed to regain and find out who I was. I needed to find out who Jacqueline Vasquez was and what her next steps in life was going to be and what was God revealing to me, right? And so God has always been my stronghold. He's always been the one that I've been holding on to, and I feel safe. And yes, I am strong now. I am confident now. but I don't forget where I came from and the journey and the lessons that I've learned. And now I feel so just blessed to be able to offer a platform, a resource platform. In addition to that, the strength to also be an advocate,
Mm-hmm.
to have the conversations sooner than later in hopes that other women, and I know men go through this, but
Mm-hmm.
speaking from a woman's perspective, I would love for other women to have the knowledge
Mm-hmm.
and to not go through that hurt that many, many women go through, and the hurt that I went through and the pain.
So you also shared a little earlier, you have been working on a journal.
Hmm.
And this journal that you have created is part of the platform that you've created to help women who have gone through similar issues, how to understand it, how to even talk about it.
Hmm.
And I hope that women know who are listening, and I shared with you someone very close to me is going through this, that it is not to be ashamed, that there is a purpose, and people who don't walk that walk or don't understand that journey,
Hmm.
sometimes they can say silly things because they don't understand, you
Yeah.
know. Um, so I really hope that this platform that you've created, this journal, these books that you've written, and all these things that you've shared openly will inspire other women, to want to embrace exactly who they are no matter what. I think it's what you've done is so brave.
Mm.
It's so brave and so raw. You're creating this openness.
Yes. And one thing what I would like to share is that when I thought about the journal, I wanted to know, I asked myself, what would I have wanted? I've always journaled all of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you've mentioned that you love to journal as well. And that was always my safe space. So journaling has always been, since young as I can remember, it's always been my safe space. And so I was like, how can I create a journal that can be a safe space for a woman
Mm-hmm.
and that's struggling or battling with infertility? And I came up with a journal that would allow them to release.
Mm-hmm.
Whew, I get chills. Release emotions. Not a journal that you write down the appointment dates, not a journal that you write down the treatments, not a journal to write down all the, this is what I have to do next, 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 next.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I've done. No, a journal for you to release, a journal for you to just not even think, but just look at what's there, look at what's in the next page. There's different activities, but then there's also different things that just allows you to just release a moment to just meditate and be there, you and the journal. And I have so many exciting things. I was talking to my coach earlier today, and uh, I received the proof, and I'm still just feeling the whole experience of receiving it, opening it up, holding it in my hand, and seeing that it came a reality, that in hopes that it's going to bless women that are going through this.
Yeah. So you wrote this book, you've created this journal. Not only did you write this book, Breaking the Glass Ceiling, and what you shared in there, but you nailed it in the sense of it's been in pre-sales since what, last Thursday.
Oh
It
my,
hasn't even hit the retail stores. It's not
wow.
and since pre-sale release, and I do encourage you who are listening to get the book in pre-sales. Um, you've hit over 25 categories, international bestseller, and in so many different areas: spirituality, personal growth, culture, all these different things. How do you feel? How does that make you feel?
Overwhelming. Oh my gosh, Hannah. I've been like circles. It's like I don't know if I'm coming or going. And I wish the one wish I had, I wish my mom and my dad were here.
Mm.
And I recently lost my mom, so she was here with us when I started the book. And so my whole thing is I wish that they were here, but I know that they're with me in spirit, and I know that their blessings are there. But yeah, it's just saying
Mm.
a legacy
Mhm.
where not being able to have children, families, parents think about legacy and what they can pass on to their children. My legacy has been revealed that it's my name, my father's name,
Mhm.
Vasquez, and the legacy of putting in print my journey, my story, and my name, and letting that legacy live forever.
Your legacy is also the women that you've helped and
Yeah.
inspired who are now able to come forward knowing that it's okay, it's a safe space. That's a part of your legacy too.
Yes.
You're creating it every single day in so many ways. And you have an incredible support system. I mean, there's 21 women in the book, and I always I make this joke. They're a very passionate group of women.
Somos Latinas.
And they're so passionate and so excited, and it's been so fun just to see all the different personalities, and because a lot of us know each other, but a lot of us don't. And most of the work, truth be told, has been done virtually and in WhatsApp and all these different ways of communication, but yet it all came together, it formed a beautiful project. And again, I can't say enough how an incredible accomplishment of being in 25 different best-selling international, national, and that was yesterday. So it's probably even changed for the
Mm.
better. We never go backwards, we always go forward. um, so I mean, it's quite an accomplishment. And when you what happens, here's what I want to know. When you get 21 Latina women in the same room, what do you think happens?
So generally, I think Judy, who's the organizer with you, and uh, she's an author as well in the book. We talk about the day that I met her and the
Mhm.
event that you were at as well, right? And so I was hesitant, and this is going to lead into your answer. I was hesitant as a Latina going to a Latina event. And it's always been my thing that, and my husband now times me how long I walk in a building, and it's like, okay, because I've done it where I walk in and I walk out.
Oh,
And so I went in and I had, I guess, a stereotype,
mhm,
because even if we're Latinas, we may have it. I think every culture or whatever
mhm.
is there, right? So I was like, okay, let me see how long I'm going to be here. And my husband's calling me. He's like, "You still there?" It's like, yeah, oh my gosh, there's so much passion in here. So, oh my God, it was on fire in that summit. And I stood even overtime when there was overtime. I stood to the very end. And I'm glad that I did, because that's how I found out about the book, right? And these other 20 authors that I feel honored and privileged to know, not in person, I haven't met every single person in person, but just the Zoom meetings and all that stuff, just what they do, these powerhouse women, I'm just totally in awe of what we've put together.
Mhm.
And I'm very thankful of the platform that you've given us to share our voices and our stories and to create impact, because not only are we sharing our stories, but we're also creating impact by educating others
Yeah.
on how to come out of what they're going through. So these women are totally rock stars, amazing, and yes, passionate.
100%. I remember I was afraid to go in that room. And we traveled far to go to that room, and we had been working with Judy for quite some time, and she talks about everyone, and you will all see Judy, by the way. She will be on here too, and she's making appearances everywhere, but this woman is like the social butterfly.
Yes,
She talks about everyone as if she's known them since birth. So she's like, so and so is going to be here, and they did this, and da, 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 and I'm just trying to take mental notes, feeling like really I need a notebook and pen in my hand just to keep up. But she knew everybody in the room. Like it
mhm,
was crazy. It was like
yeah,
family. I was nervous too,
yeah.
because we didn't know anybody but her, and we weren't sure what to expect, and I have the shyest, quietest daughter in the world
But
who
she's so amazing.
and she's like, wow.
I'm sure you left there like feeling this adrenaline from
I
just
did.
everyone.
I did. It was like, wow, this room is full. These women are passionate. The guys, well, you know what was so cool too is watching the men supporting the women. And
It was amazing.
they were in there and they were supportive of
Yeah,
what was happening, and it was a beautiful day,
it
and
was.
here we are, with this incredible book. But I'll never forget that day. um so you have another book. It comes out tomorrow.
Yeah,
uh and,
surprise.
and it is another force of a book, Becoming an Unstoppable Woman. The journey continues, and the reason why it's called The Journey Continues is because we created that movement in 2021. We created a movement, a book series that just took off. And you wrote in this book, you shared your story. And I don't want you to give too much away because I really, really want people to read your chapters, read her books because they are very powerful.
Mhm.
Um, how did it feel writing for that book versus Breaking the Glass Ceiling? What do you think some of the differences are?
It was actually easy. It allowed me to, like, another avenue to share a story that I really don't talk about much
Mm.
as well. So it's these little, pockets of stories that not everyone knows. So with this second book, I'm sure a lot of people will be like, for real? Like, really? Like, how did that transition happen? And I'm glad that it allowed me to share it for people that I know
Mm.
might be, wanting to find out ways on how to um, change the narrative of
Mhm.
their journey.
Are we going to find out that the accountant, PhD, master wedding event planner, uh, international speaker, international best-selling author also skydives? Is that going to be a part of it?
No. But I have climbed a pyramid, but that first and last time, but not skydive, unless, I don't know. Let me say I don't know. That could be a possibility. I may just feel this. I may be in a different stage of my life that it's like, you know what? Let's just do
let's just
this.
let's do it.
But
So
today, no.
when you've traveled the world speaking, does it feel surreal to you?
Yes, I think the first time that it felt surreal was China.
Mm.
It was so surreal. I mean, everything else that came after cannot compare with China. It was just the welcoming environment. I was provided a translator that we adopted, and because she's just so amazing and such a beautiful person. And what I loved was that I was there for a week and we were able to connect before my presentation. So I was able to know how she wanted me to speak, the
Mm.
space, so that she can translate. So by the time the presentation came up, we were a tag team. We knew exactly how to, just maneuver that conversation. And then I went to the presentation and everyone was so welcoming. It was just so surreal. Me not knowing the language, that by the second day of the presentation, it was like if I was speaking to them without my translator and we could understand each other. And she was like, "Oh, you sure you don't need me?" I'm like, "No, I think I'm getting by a little bit here." And it wasn't so much the conversation, it was just the flow, the feel, just the generous looks and just genuineness and appreciation for me being there. It was just so surreal that I can't even, nothing has compared to that yet. So when I've spoken in other places, it's so amazing. But this was like the icing. It was just really that. I mean, I went to, what is it, the Wall of China. I just, that was surreal. So all of those experiences were just memorable. And all the other locations, like from Ecuador, just beautiful people. I'm actually going to Ecuador again in November to speak. And every place has a special place in my heart.
Mm-hmm. It's a piece of home for you, it sounds
Oh,
like.
yeah.
You're embracing, so not only are you traveling, but you're experiencing different cultures
Oh,
across
yeah.
the world.
Yeah. And a
I believe
smile,
in read body language.
yeah, a smile
Hmm.
goes a long way.
Yeah.
And how you carry yourself goes a long way. Yeah.
You also have something else special coming up Thursday that you have been preparing with the Breaking the Glass Ceiling ladies, that airs on Thursday at 9. Your panel.
Oh, October 11th. I'm like, that's October 11th. And I think they're finalizing the link or something, but that's going to be like crazy because I thought it was just, we're just going into a room, gathering with a few people. And I think it's turning into something else. So that is crazy. I'm really like overwhelmed with everything that this book is bringing together.
Hmm.
I'm just speechless sometimes.
You can also see her Thursday, September 28th on Phoenix TV
Oh, wait a minute.
as
Yes,
she
it
shares
was just a lot.
as she shares Breaking the Glass Ceiling panel discussion with some really incredible women.
Yeah.
And they worked really hard on that. And of course, I saw a little bit of behind the scenes of it. I'm really excited for everyone to hear and see you ladies. Um, and so, what does it look like for the woman who's breaking the glass ceiling, becoming the unstoppable woman who's dreaming big and doing bigger? What's next on the horizon for you?
For me, there's a lot. This book is more than what I thought it was going to be, Hannah. Like, I don't
Yes,
know what you've
I can
created.
hear that.
I don't know what you've created. That's why I'm like, I can't keep up with the dates because I just do not know what you've created. I thought this was going to be very like low key a little bit, like, hey, launch date. Overwhelming, like completely overwhelming. So there's a lot coming for me personally. Uh, this book is really highlighting my platform, and
Mhm.
it's really coinciding the um, with the journal that I have, and with the platform, and with the podcast, and with everything. It's just coming full circle.
Let's talk about that podcast for a second. What's going on with the podcast?
So the podcast is pretty much lined up with the Inspired by Jacqueline purpose. And Inspired by Jacqueline is really a platform, again, that's providing resources for women who are struggling with either entrepreneurship, faith, or infertility. And
Mm.
so I recently just decided what my overall title was, based on what I want to do and the purpose of everything. And it's a woman's wellness advocate.
Ooh,
And
I love that.
this really, captures the essence. I didn't want to be a coach. I don't want to be, it's not about that. I want to be that resource, that point person that also advocates for
Mhm.
these three pillars of my life.
Wow, you hear that, everybody? Woman's wellness advocate.
Yes.
Wow. So, where can we find you? Anyone who's watching this, who's going to watch this, what is the best way for them to connect with you?
So I have many things that are going on, right? I have three different platforms. So the easiest way to find me is classyandinspiring.com has all of my platforms. You
Mhm.
can find me there completely. Instagram, classyjv. That directs you to every location you need to go to.
And I feel like in my heart, I feel like you're just beginning. Like this is just
Yeah.
the beginning.
This is the beginning of a journey that, yeah, I see my coach is saying, the hands. She's been very instrumental, and she's keeping me focused. And things that I planned were maybe 3 or 4 years to happen, it's like now, and in pretty much a year and a half.
Would your coach agree that there is no perfect opportunity? You make it? Do you
Yes.
think that's something that your coach would agree to?
Yeah.
Well, whoever your coach is, I mean, we actually talk about that all the time. Why do we women need coaches? Why do women entrepreneurs need coaches? You absolutely need a dream team to help
Mhm.
hold you accountable, to help you elevate, to give you that opinion that your closest people won't give you because they're afraid to hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
Coaches have such an extraordinary job to do, and it's so important. Advocates, what you're talking about, what you are, what you're doing, we all need
Mm-hmm.
advocates.
Mm-hmm.
We need it. It's a must, um, now more than ever. Well, I want to thank you and we went way over time, but I'm just so
We're just having a chat and conversations. Like what?
I'm so inspired and so amazed. And I've learned more about you today than I have in the last
Can,
6
can I
months.
share something really quick? Because people are going to ask me, like, why you say PhD? Because no, people are like, what? When did she get that? Oh my gosh.
Yes, share how that came about because I can own it.
So that's a quick story where I have a client a convention, a corporate client where post COVID, as we're reopening, not even the second year, but 2021, we're scheduled to have an event. And we actually took one event and turned it into a 7-city event simultaneous for 3 days. And after that, and that included different restrictions in every single location, and also switching a location within 2 weeks of the event to start. So I gave myself a PhD. So that's where that comes from, everyone. No, I did not go back to school and get a PhD, but I gave it to myself, but I deserved it. So yes, I'm a PhD too.
I love it. Well, thank you for spending time with me today and for sharing your story. I really hope everyone gets this book, both of her books, her journal, all three of her books, her journal. Follow her journey, be a part of it. She has some incredible love and kindness in there, and she's willing to advocate. And I'm just so thankful for you and thankful for being able to spend time with you today. And congratulations on all these accomplishments that you're doing. And you know what most I love about you?
Right.
Your humility.
Mm.
You're one of the most humble women that I've ever spoken to, ever. And that is a major, major power, humility. So keep building that
And
legacy.
you get me all. Whew.
Keep
It's basic. It's
going.
who I am. It's who I, and it comes from my legacy, which is my family. My family has that humbleness. It goes back to my grandfather, my grandmother. That's where it comes from. It's a family trait, and I love them all, and I'm excited to be who I am and own that name and make it a legacy.
You are. You're leading with humility. Are you're doing so much, and I hope you continue. So
Thank
get the
you.
book,
And
Breaking.
congratulations to you as well, because you're an author as well in the book. So
Yes, thank
congratulations to you and Adriana.
you. We are very, very honored to have taken this journey with all of you, and there's so many good things coming, and we're excited. We were afraid to write in the book, but that's for a whole nother interview. Today is about you. And so grab her books, follow her, get in contact with her. I promise that you will just be so happy if you do. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. And the book is on Amazon, by the way.
Yes.
Bye.